Right now we're seeing like 25K months completely on organic. Like we actually built a closer chatbot that did like 40K in 30 days. When I did that, like I think I probably got 18 replies out of 20. You can like go to college and spend 100 grand and like waste 4 years of your life like doing that stuff, or like you can do this and you can do it for a year and then you're going to like do great.
Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. Today we have another very special guest, Isaiah, one member of my original 8. If you've been following the channel for a long time, you'll remember way back when I got started, I took in 8 people to start an agency under my guidance, and Isaiah is one of the leading results from that program. And today it's my pleasure to share his story, the amount of money he's making now with his agency, and really the journey he's been on from getting started to where he is now. So Isaiah, it's awesome to have you here, brother.
Yeah, Liam, thank you. It's been quite the year. You know, I think when I first found your channel, you were somewhere around 15,000 subscribers. And I think I came across the application for the original 8 like 2 days before it was due and just frantically filled it out. And honestly, man, I really wouldn't be doing what I'm doing as a business owner right now, as a father, or really just in my life, or like half the people around me probably wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. And so I just want to say thank you as a start. And yeah, I'm happy to share my story and hopefully inspire some people here on the channel to kind of follow the same path.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I'm so glad you're on the channel finally. We've talked about this for so long, and now's the right time to share your story. Everyone watching this, seriously, this is going to be one of the most important videos. If you're interested in getting into AI and starting one of these businesses, Isaiah is such an excellent example. There's so many parts of the story that many of you are going to resonate with. So why don't we start firstly, just so everyone knows where you're at and what you're doing. Can you just give a quick rundown of your agency and what you're selling and the kind of numbers you're seeing right now?
Sure. Yeah. So Beyond the Block Consulting is obviously an AI automation agency. And right now we're primarily niched down into the appointment setter category. It's an idea that Liam and I discussed kind of at length all the way back in June.
He came up with it. He came up with it, right? So it's Isaiah, all these AI appointment setters that came originally out of Isaiah's brain. So I'm going to push that right back onto you, mate. I'll just help to popularize it maybe.
He really did. And you know, some of the early work that you did, especially on like the Airtable and linking some of those systems together and making it like a functional database structure really helped us to kind of evolve a product offering that really does work. And so we've been focused kind of in this niche. And I think in hindsight, what I realized is like we probably chose one of the hardest problems to solve. Conversations and building trust is such a dynamic process, and it takes such a kind of high level of conversation in order for those things to kind of convert. So what we realized was that by niching down and focusing on kind of this coaches and consultants industry, we really thought that was going to be the target audience bread and butter of this. And it turns out that it's kind of evolved more into the small business, like small enterprise, as well as like influencer category is really seeing more success with these and more of a need and demand. And based on the volume, the kind of prospective client and customer actually thinks about automation a little differently, right? So when you're with this like coaching and consulting niche, everybody wants personal touch points. Everybody wants to like talk to you, right? And I know, Liam, that's something like you deal with. People want to like speak with you. They want your time, but like the more that you grow, the less time that you have. And so there gets to this inflection point with like the influencer and small business category where like they know that they're like reaching out to you to buy something or to like, you know, be a part of your community, right? And like your community has been so strong that you've been able to see that. I think if I remember right, the original accelerator launch sold out in like 4 minutes to 100 people. And so like the power of community and like the willingness of community to purchase from you is so strong, like as you grow, that what we're realizing is that like this appointment setter niche is really evolving to fit the needs of influencers and people at a larger scale than just like coaches and consultants on Instagram.
Mm-hmm. And for the people who are new to the AI appointment setter sort of niche and solution, could you just give us a quick walkthrough of like how you'd set it up for a client and also the offer that you're running as well in terms of the ticket price, the usage, etc.?
Yeah, absolutely. So mostly our ticket price now is about 5 figures per deployment, all the way up to $25,000, depending on like what the actual use case is or how much involvement we'll have in management and maintenance. We also do kind of the agency hybrid SaaS model where we are charging a monthly recurring revenue to come in and do maintenance on that. And so really like the average appointment setter build out for us is like super simple. Like as far as the process goes for the client, we ask them to collect something like 25 to 40 different like best case scenario set appointments inside their DMs or inside like their product or service that they're selling. Like, hey, let me see your funnels. We're going to funnel hack, do all this. we will run kind of conversation analysis on this and reverse engineer the semantic style and craft a persona to kind of match your brand voice or your personal voice if you're a coach or consultant. Doing this allows us to then basically integrate with VoiceFlow, Replit, ManyChat, and Airtable. And all you receive as the client at the end of the like build phase window for deployment is literally a ManyChat link that you plug and play, and all of the backend stuff is already built out for you. Like it's very done for you. However, we do love like having a lot of communication and involvement inside the business just so that we like really dial in that kind of process. And we do all that through custom like one-on-one Slack channels where we bring you and anyone in your team into a Slack and you have direct access to us to actually like hone the deployment in.
For people who are not familiar with the appointments in your space as well, like these messages are coming inbound, correct? So it might be off a story reply, or once you have that ManyChat link, you can put that anywhere, right? So for me, if I wanted to have an appointment setter that was on my Instagram, you could give me that ManyChat link and it would take me directly to triggering that conversation with the agent, right?
Exactly. And you can, exactly. And thanks for clarifying, because you can actually change out those triggers to be comments, story replies, ad replies, basically any inbound keywords. So if you see all those type of like, comment XYZ below and you'll get this thing, or I'll reach out to you. All of those triggers and intents can be like utilized, right? Mm-hmm. So that's really big there. And when it comes to actually like leveraging this system, the best way that we see it leveraged and the most effective ways that we've seen it leveraged are through like a co-piloting model, right? So we definitely want to see people who are actually like they have a setter team or a sales team and they're letting this filter through like a lot of the inbound, and then it will human escalate to the highest priority leads. And we can actually set thresholds as well where it's like, all right, if someone with 50K followers and a verified account reaches out, like just bump that to a human and like don't try to set that appointment with AI, or like over 100K followers, regardless of verification status, like bump that to a human as well. So we have some fallback stuff there. Right now we're seeing like 25K months, and this has been completely unorganic, right? So the beauty of this and like the revenue numbers that we're doing is we're spending no money on ads currently. I've done no cold outbound emails. I haven't sent a single like cold DM. Like everything that we're doing is just through like people finding out kind of, hey, like this is what Isaiah is working on right now. And I've been involved in this high level mastermind community stuff for a few years. And so people have just kind of come out of the woodwork over the course of the last probably 4 months, as well as some people that you've sent my way, like Victor, Katrina, and Ahmed over there at Pivotal Media. And so it's been really an exciting, it's just been exciting for me to watch this, because I know a lot of people are going to see like 25K months and like, oh, you've been working on this for a year and you're like barely like breaking, $250,000 a year. Like that doesn't bother me because of the foundation that we've laid, right? We've put so much behind like our systems and like the business practices and like really functionally focusing on scalability. Like that's been our biggest, like, I would say like our product and our process and then the people on my team are like the three most important things in that order. Like our product is fucking good. Our processes are clean. And like, I have some of the best talent that like, I'm just grateful to have on my side.
Yeah. And this is a really important part for any of you watching this. You've now probably listened to Isaiah and gone, wow, this guy's got his shit together. He's making all this money now. He's spent all this time to create this product. He must be a developer. He must have come from big tech. He must have all of the skills and background. Isaiah is coming as someone who is not a developer. He didn't have development experience, but I'll let you tell the story. He's been able to build everything that you've just heard, and leading like one of the best AI appointment set systems that you could get anywhere in the world right now, through community, through connections, and through continued applied effort in the space. So can you walk us through your journey from the original 8 to finding your co-founder, and the process you've been going through over the past year to build this software, and your experience as someone who's non-technical, getting into the space and becoming a capable AI automation agency owner and leader?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think early on, like I was just extremely curious in this, right? Because I actually have a 16-month-old daughter at the time of filming this, and she was about 4 months old, maybe 3 months old when I found Liam's channel. And at the time, I had already been like starting to leverage from AI and automation in a past business with my wife, which is focused on mindfulness. And one of the things that I did was I started following your content from this kind of non-technical perspective, and made things easy, right? Like I like the learning curve for me was so rapidly accelerated. And then to get into that original Discord group and to just get into even just applying for the original 8 and being accepted to that and being like well connected to some of the people who were leading the space like yourself at the time, it just gave me the belief, right, as well as the support of a community to be able to just lean in and actually grow this thing and then stick with it when shit got hard. Because honestly, like there was times where I was like, why are we doing this? Like this problem is not easy to solve. Like I could go make a lot more money doing something else. And like at the end of the day, I just realized I was like the community and then just the foundations that we were building by being this early in the AI space is just, and the technical skills and the curiosity for me, that was a big thing. Like I learned so many of the technical skills and so much of the language and the lingo just by following my curiosity and like following creators like yourself who were just disseminating so much value out to their communities. And so when it came for my technical co-founder, and I know Liam's probably a little salty about this one still. So Xuan Ming was, if any of you remember, one of the technical coaches for the accelerator program. And he's a Singaporean national who was going to school at Stanford and was working a full-time job as an internship and also working for the accelerator. And then he took a look at kind of what I was working on and he just kind of offered to help for a couple months. Like he was just popping in and out once formally as a technical coach and then otherwise just kind of like reaching out, asking if I needed anything. And he just kept getting more involved, like naturally. Like, and then him and I met up in December. We flew to Miami for a mastermind together and got to meet in person. And after that, he was just like, hey, man, like, I really appreciate your leadership and your communication style. And he's like, I don't know what my time commit is, but like, if you want me on the team full time, like at whatever level I can, I'll do that. And so he's actually taken a leave of absence from school for the next year when he returns to Singapore in August. And he'll be leaving the full-time internship that's part of his schooling. And yeah, we're going to go, like, we're scaling, man. Like once August rolls around and he gets back to Singapore, like we're dialing it in. And so that's a big part of my journey, you know. It's really like having that technical co-founder. And I remember when you and Spencer were talking about this on a LinkedIn video that maybe made its way to YouTube, but it's just like having that technical person who is just able to leverage these tools and rapidly iterate through these versions was just so important for me because like I'm an ideas and a people person. Like I'm sales, I'm marketing, and I'm communication. Like it's what I'm best at. And I also can hold the vision like at a longer term than a lot of people can. I think it's one of the things that makes me successful is that if this doesn't work in 90 days, I'm giving up. Like that's not an option for me. Like my time horizons are so much further out than a lot of people. And so to have that kind of technical co-founder who can support that and work on faster timescales, and like get deployments out and who also wants to manage and be a leader inside the business, like without him and without the community over there at the accelerator, like I wouldn't have been connected to him and this wouldn't happen either. Like this wouldn't be possible.
Yeah, I just keep seeing more and more the value of community in the space. And if you're watching this, you might think I'm trying to like force you to get into my communities. I don't really care, but I'm trying to tell you right now, every person you're seeing on these calls with me, on these like success calls and checking in, every single one is saying the same thing, and it's community, community, community. I don't care, just get into my free community and start talking to people and having conversations. Like you just have no idea. Every single person you meet is a door that you can open and see what's on the other side. And it could open up, like in Isaiah's case, he just hopped on a call with the coach in the accelerator, and now he's his technical co-founder. There's so much to be gained from just high frequency, meeting new people, being active, putting yourself out there. And if you're not already, and you've been watching my videos or other people's videos in the space for months now, you might have been watching YouTube on this stuff for like a year and still not done shit. The first step and then the first action you can do if you don't want to make content, you don't want to do anything on a larger scale, is at least just get into these communities and start being active and being present. That's what my free community is there for. And it's a great entry place to hire talent, to be hired, to share ideas, to get ideas for your agency. So if there's one thing that you guys can do, it's just to try to get more active in these communities, as I said. And I mean, recently I had my Dubai mastermind, and there were dudes who came out there and said, this thing changed my life. And it's that in-person thing, like you said when you flew out Ming, is that in-person connection as well. And I'd really want all of you guys in the space to experience that, of being working with and working alongside and growing alongside other people in the space who share your values, share the vision, and understand where the space is going. It's the most rewarding thing that I've done in my AI career so far, was hanging out with those guys in person and seeing the changes in them and seeing the like mindset opening up. It's just an incredible thing. So I really urge you guys to be as active as you can in these communities. I think an interesting part of your story is the niche agency. And I've made a video recently. If you guys haven't watched it, I'll put it up here somewhere, on general versus niche agencies. And there's a lot of debate and discussion on this right now. And when should you be a general agency and when should you go niche? And in your case, you've niched down and you've spent eight to 10 months working on a product just to get it to a point where you're ready to start selling it. But there's still a clear case for general agencies and people who don't have a clear inroad. You had the connections in the coaching space. You also had the technical partner, and you knew that you could get this to a point where you could sell it as well. So can you just walk us through the harsh reality and the raw reality of being a niche agency owner and the things you've had to go through to get to this point where you're making $25,000 in the past month?
I think that the thing that's coming up for me right now is like, when you're a niche agency, you have to get really good at saying no. And I don't think a lot of people are there yet in their entrepreneurial journey where jobs come across the table and they're just kind of taking what they can get, right? We knew that for us to be successful and build something that was going to be at a high enough level to actually effectively create change inside this industry, we needed to niche down. And by niching down, we drilled one really specific problem to a point where we got very good at it, right? But along the way, we learned so much that it opened up the doors for more general and custom deployments, right? Because every single business and every single client's needs are so dynamically different that you may think that you're like coming into this niche deployment and that you're just going to duplicate your voice flow and you're going to connect some API endpoints on the Replit and that like it's done and it's like a 4-hour deployment and you just made $5,000. Like that's never happened for us. Like even our most standardized niche deployments are custom in the sense that like we have to manage client expectations. We have to integrate into their systems as they already are. We have to learn different integrations to CRMs, whether they're on HubSpot or Salesforce or Close or whatever it is, because we want to see our product successful, right? And so at the end of the day, like niching down was the thing that got us focused and disciplined enough to actually like take our solutions to being somewhere where they are like closer to world class, right? And now we can kind of, as we build our development team, we can start to open that door towards more generalized solutions, right? But the foundation of our business and our processes is completely niche. And so this idea of appointment setters is to me, it's more representation of the end goal of like implementing AI automation in a use case that's really easy to understand, right? It's building belief early. And then once we work with these clients, it opens the doors for us to be like, hey, this is what else we can do. Or some of our best work has come from clients asking us, is this possible? But it would have never been possible for them to ask that question if we hadn't been niched down in the first place. So it's a little bit of a wash, like it's a political answer, right? Like I'm not saying one is better than the other, but I'm saying that one led us to the other. And if it weren't for the niche down solution, we wouldn't have been able to like get to where we are.
Yeah, that's so important to be niche down to some degree. It's going to make you look like the expert in some area. Like you said, you're going to get that feedback, and I keep talking about this on the channel and the accelerators. The feedback from the market is going to, like, you've just thrust yourself into, I think, AI in the funnel for prospecting and converting first touch to warm leads and engaged leads is going to be something that we want to focus on. You've just basically said, I'm placing a bet there. We're going to get in the middle of it and we're going to be there first. So even if the product that you made in the first iteration is not the thing that's going to be the final thing, like you said, you've kind of pivoted a little bit towards these influencers rather than the coaches because there's differences in what they want. But by you thrusting yourself in there, you're saying, I think this is going to be a big market and I'm just going to keep working away at it until I find that thing. So whether that's going to be adapting your solution in a more custom way, like you said, or it's just nailing down and saying, I'm going to get as much feedback as I can and just keep iterating this thing towards success. So I'm looking forward to hearing the updates on how you go with these influencers and stuff like that. I know we've had some conversations, but I'm really excited to get an update on this. And I mean, the scalability of these solutions, like you said, that's something I've always struggled with is if you are creating a system like your own, if it's an appointment setter, it's not like you can force them to use a certain CRM. Like you have to adapt to
Right.
their own needs, which makes it a little bit more difficult. But would you say that those modifications, this would be pretty interesting for people listening and interested in doing these solutions? But do you need to get your A players onto the adaptation or the implementation of the system, or can you pass off to a low grade developer? Because my experience of replicating a solution, it's not necessarily the A players in your team that necessarily need to go onto getting that done.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with that more. So, yeah, basically, kind of what you're saying there is that the foundational model and like the heavy lifting should be done by your A players. And once that system is at a point where it is systemized enough that it can be delegated, I think at the earliest opportunities you should. And that's because you want to keep your A players motivated, right? Like you don't want to disincentivize like a lead developer by making them like do the same thing over and over and over again when their creative, problem solving, curious brain is like looking for new puzzles to solve, right? And so what that also does is it allows other people to get their hands on the process and the product to be able to let you know whether or not like you're like they can bring, it doesn't matter if they're an A player. If like you've got, your intern working on something and he's duplicating something and he finds like an inefficiency, like there should be enough transparency and communication inside your business that he brings that to your developer and in your A player at the top and says, okay, hey CTO, here's this thing I found, like can we revise this process? Like that's one of the best ways to improve your products is by just keeping communications channels open from the bottom through to the top of the kind of the top of the pyramid there.
For anyone who's looking to get into these businesses and start an AI agency of some sort, what would your recommended strategy? I think this is always interesting to ask people. Now, looking back on your journey, and I mean, seeing what I've done and what these other people in the accelerator that um, I guess it's tricky without being specific about what kind of person it is, because we have, I mean, developers like Ming come in and they find success by finding their sales and their ops guy that they can work with. There's people who come in who are industry experts and they need to find the technical one. So I know it's a bit of a very question because there's so many different people who are jumping into this. But for the most average player, middle of the market, average person, how would you recommend to get into this based off your experience?
Yeah, I'll start by saying something to avoid doing as like an entry level getting into this, right? Is I think that one of the things that's really easy to do in this space is overpromise and underdeliver and hurt your reputation and integrity. So I think where you should start when getting in is like start small with something you can manage, right? And I know you've talked a lot about this on your channel in the past, especially, about a year ago when you were first kind of deploying solutions and you were doing some stuff for free for clients and just like field testing what the market wanted, as well as your own ability to produce the actual needed product, right? So I know it's very basic, very fundamental, but I think that a lot of people try to jump to like, what's the thing that's going to make me 80, 100K months? And like, the answer is nothing if you don't like lay a foundation. And like, the other thing is like, jump in on these communities and like get into the messaging threads and like see what other people's needs are. And if people are like posting like looking for or like in need of or like, hey, does anyone have experience with, like go match yourself up with that stuff. Like if you can find threads and posts and get involved and just comment on things and send DMs out inside these private communities, like you are going to not only build the network, but the experience needed to actually start doing something in this space successfully. Because this isn't a saturated industry. Like it's a 1-year-old industry at most, maybe 18 months, right? I mean, I think you started your channel in January, right? So here we're coming up on 18 months. And it's like, this as the creator of the AI automation agency, but like it's a really easy thing to market in a sense because it's the shiny object of the day. Like right now, people do not want to get left behind and they want to feel included, but they also don't want to get taken advantage of, right? So it's like this transparency that's necessary in this space. And then also like, I'll be honest, and this isn't so much about starting an agency, but just like recognizing a lot of the claims that you're going to see on the internet and on YouTube and stuff are very much top line revenue, right? Like and I know this for a fact for you as well, is like the way in which we compensate ourselves as owners will always be different than like the 9-to-5 guy who's just like out getting paid to like, smash around on a keyboard. Like for me, like I can't even really claim that we've like made money at this point, but we are running at high margins, right? So like we've generated great revenue over since March 1st. We're averaging 20K plus months, with this month being a high month at 25. But like, that's 3 months to make 65,000. But like, we kept our operating costs and didn't take anything from the business so low that like, we know we're at 50-60% margins, right? So just like recognizing that even with revenue share and profit share and top line numbers and all this stuff getting thrown around on the internet, like, you have a really, really incredible opportunity to make money inside this business, but you have to lengthen your time horizon. You can't think that you're going to start this thing and 30, 60 days from now, like, be taking home 20, 30K months. Yeah. It is possible. Like, we've both seen people inside the accelerator do it, where they launch something and they just nailed it, right? They had the right email list, they had the right audience, they had the right product and price point, and they scaled to 30, 40K MRR. But like, personally, I don't think it's good to come into this space with that expectation, because it will demotivate you. And so just recognize that if this takes 3 or 6 months for you to hit those big numbers as a new business owner, like, you're still probably doing better than your peers who are just like, it's so fast. And like, you can like go to college and spend $100,000 and like waste 4 years of your life like doing that stuff, or like, you can do this and you can do it for a year, and then you're going to like do great. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of my advice to anybody starting, is like, don't overpromise. It's really easy to do in this space. You're like, we can automate fucking everything. Is like,
that's what
make
they want
sure
to hear.
you can. Yeah,
that's what business owners want to hear, and it's an easy thing to lean into that and just go. I mean, I always say that people ask me like, what's the most dangerous thing about AI for businesses? And I think the most dangerous thing is that you think it's a silver bullet that's going to fix everything and right. just like solve your problems. It's not. It's really not. It's good for small integrations, and it's not like we have this overarching AI that can just do everything for you now. So I think expectation management is something I've been harping on about for a long time now on the channel, and it's so important. It's just to get those expectations right before you jump into things. So yeah, and I think for people watching, this is an interesting part about your story, is that you have become the kind of AI guy and the person people can go to within your network. And I think this is a really, really important part about why this is such a good play right now. And I cannot tell you the amount of, it sounds really lame, like the amount of attention that I will get from people who are like well above me in the business world, just because I am the guy that I'm a regular looking guy that they can relate to as someone who's clearly understanding and experienced in this space. And like you said, people are all worried. Well, maybe there's 10, 20% of people who are like the Luddites and are like very much against it, but the majority of the population are at least aware of it to some degree and are open to learning more about it, or at least trying to future-proof themselves. Like you said, they just need that person that they can trust, who's not going to rip them off and can give them a real honest explanation of the state of the technology. And that's, as I'm sure you've found, something that you can leverage a lot. And how have you found reaching out to your network, the response from people when you say, hey, I'm doing this stuff now, let me know if I can help out?
Yeah, all great points, because I definitely have seen the same kind of curve, right? The attention curve. And as anybody knows who's been listening to Gary Vee for the last decade rant about like attention is the new currency, like it is a very like powerful thing. And I think the one of the kind of objectives you laid out for us in the original 8 early on was like that month of July and August of 2023. You said, hey, make it a point to like reach out to 20 people, right? 20 people you have first degree connections with, and just say, this is what I'm doing. This is like how I'm like, this is where I'm at right now. And when I did that, like, I think I probably got 18 replies out of 20. I mean, and most of it was like super excited, like, yeah, man, like I'm worried about this, or like, I'm really, really happy to hear that you're doing this, or like, hey, like totally, like, thanks for keeping me in the loop. Like, people want to know if you're involved, if you've built that trust and stuff. And personally for me, that trust had, I had just spent a lot of time building it. I never really like made an ask to my audience or to my network, right? I had spent something like $100,000 on high ticket masterminds in 2021 and 2022. And I had met hundreds of people, right, that were making 7 figures or, you know, doing on track for that. And I owned a lawn care company at the time, dude. I had nothing to sell them. Like, I just wanted to learn from them. And like, I was just authentic and transparent, and I operated with integrity. So 2 years later, things come around full circle, and I'm doing something at a level that they are like in need of, that they're reaching out to me. And that's the power of this right now is, and the attention that's on this space is I have become a authority in the United States inside the high ticket coaching and consulting communities on this topic. And the thing is I'm not like a big content creator. And I know you've been harping on me that I gotta get on that. And I do present well, and I think that it's something I want to do, but I've been focused on this product and the solution and not on sharing it. And so many of my conversations are in person. Right. Mm-hmm. And again, going back to what you hosted on the boat there, that was in Amsterdam, right? That was your, So you had the Amsterdam meetup, and then you had the Dubai meetup, and like you've been bringing your community in person, and like the most impactful things I've ever done are like one-on-one and in person. And so I say all of that to just kind of be like, when I reach out or when people reach out to me, there's this like, can you help clear the confusion type of energy around that? And if I can just provide value without expectation, like it always comes back. Like it might not be that person, but it might be somebody that person sends me. And I think when you avoid the monetary conflict of interest in like helping other people to just kind of clear the confusion around AI. Yeah. And again, that silver bullet comment is super important here, because like people think that you can just delegate the whole business to a system. And it's like, not really. Like what we're doing is we're trying to reduce specific task workloads by like 80% so that you can focus on higher priority stuff, whether that's appointment setting in our business's case, but we've also helped with like content jobs, and we've helped with like we actually built a closer chatbot that did like 40K in 30 days. The guy didn't have to hire a new sales guy, and like embedded in the HTML of his sales funnel was this chatbot connected to a knowledge base and his API data for like everything he does on his intake forms. So people would fill out this application, and like this thing's closing deals on autopilot. It did 40K in 30 days. Like we literally built that solution for him for free just to see if it would work. Like if you remove the monetary conflict of interest and just like lean into like supporting the people around you, like you will get it back. Like the universe will provide, right? Like I'm big on that. So yeah.
I think it's such a good point. And I've literally just come from having lunch down at a place here in Marbella, and I'm sitting next to some guys who are like absolutely killing it in the online business space, and they're like guys I really look up to. And I'm sitting here and I'm working away on some of my prompting stuff and this prompt module that I'm doing for the accelerator. And I'm able to freely just help these guys with like seemingly basic stuff like relevance AI tools and writing prompts with variable insertions in it, and doing like newsletter generators. And I did one for cold email generation for specific niches and like handling variables. It's fairly straightforward stuff for me, but when I show it to them, they're like, holy crap, this is like I need you to come and do a full day with me. Can you do a training program? There's so much to be gained. I'm not asking for anything in return. I mean, I think he bought me lunch. But like that's, so you're not expecting anything back. And the time is going to run out at some point, and we have to play our advantage now. So if you're watching this and you've been wanting to get into the space, just start like an action item from this video is to go and like as I said, message 20 people in your contacts and say, hey, look, this is what I'm doing. If you've got any people that might be interested, or you yourself might be interested in having a chat, if you're watching my videos and you have been for a while, you have enough of a knowledge gap to be able to start helping people. And you need to play that advantage while you have it, and just continue to lean into that. Look, continue to build different solutions here. You will pick it up as you go. You just need to start having those conversations and letting people know that you're doing this thing. You will be absolutely shocked by the amount of attention and goodwill that comes pouring back to you. So I think on that note, Isaiah, I immensely appreciate you on here. I immensely appreciate you and all the help you give to me with some of my mental stuff. But Isaiah is an absolutely outstanding member of our community. And for any of you who are looking for someone to look up to, Isaiah is definitely one of those people, and he even is for myself. So it's been a pleasure having you on, brother. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how you scale this business moving forward.
Hey, Liam, thank you. And you know how I feel about you, man. And I can't wait for the day that we get to meet in person. I know it's a little
Yeah,
more difficult. I have a
yeah,
wife and a child, and I'm on the other side of the world, but
yeah.
I'll make my way. So I'm really excited and looking forward to that day. And I'm
Mhm.
grateful for all the help and even the things we got to do early on, like the Hermosi call and stuff, which
Yeah.
was just a cool, like,
That was Isaiah, guys. The way that we got Homozy on the channel was Isaiah's idea. He said there's this Homozy giveaway going that we can probably get in on. So again, Isaiah,
I
we
mean,
appreciate
dude,
that.
it was just cool, like this full circle, right? Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, and if anybody needs anything from me, you can find me at
Mhm.
Isaiah_Zimmerman on Instagram. I'm sure the
Mhm.
links will be down below.
Yep.
Beyondtheblock.ai.com, or yeah, beyondtheblock.ai is our
Mhm.
website. We just launched a new video sales letter, and hopefully going to be pushing more content out here as well.
Mhm.
And otherwise, Liam's going to disown me if I don't start doing content.
Sure.
So
So keep it on there. I'll leave all of his details down below, and if there's anything he wants me to drop in there as well, I'll put it there. But yeah, I hope you guys got something out of that. I certainly did, and we're looking forward to seeing you back on the channel soon with some more news for us, Isaiah.